She didn't just reject you, she X-rayed you. In that single, dismissive glance, her intuition did what you've spent a lifetime avoiding. It saw the truth. It scanned past the carefully chosen words, the practiced smile, and the feigned confidence, and it locked onto the hollow core. Her senses, honed by millennia of evolutionary pressure to detect weakness, picked up the scent of your fear. You thought you were having a conversation. She was conducting an audit of your soul, and you failed. She didn't turn you down because you said the wrong thing. She turned you down because you are the wrong thing. A man without an internal frame, a structure of self-respect so brittle that it shatters at the first sign of indifference. You weren't rejected. You were exposed. Think back to that moment. The air in the room seemed to get thin, didn't it? You approached, a walking apology. Your posture was a question mark, shoulders curved inward as if to protect yourself from a blow you already expected. Your voice, when it finally emerged, had that slight upward inflection at the end of your sentences, turning statements into pleas, the nice guy tone. It's the universal frequency of a man who is asking for permission to exist, begging for validation instead of commanding respect. You watched her eyes. You were scanning them desperately for a flicker of approval, a sign that you were doing okay. But you saw something else instead. It wasn't anger or annoyance, it was worse. A placid, almost bored recognition. The look of a person who has seen this exact performance 1,000 times before and already knows how it ends. She saw a man whose entire sense of self was outsourced, placed in her hands for her to either validate or crush. And in that moment, she chose, as women always do, not to carry that burden. Her disinterest was a mercy killing. It was a signal that the game was over before it even began, because you showed up to a battle of wills completely unarmed. The ancient Stoics understood this terrain better than any modern psychologist. They were warriors and emperors who lived on a knife's edge, where a single moment of internal weakness could mean death or the loss of an empire. The philosopher Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, not as a platitude but as a combat directive. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. You see that rejection as a wall. Final verdict on your worth. The Stoics would see it as the raw material. The obstacle is not an obstacle. It is the path. That soul-crushing moment of being utterly seen through is not your shame. It is your starting point. It is the unvarnished, brutal feedback you need to begin the only project that will ever matter. Forging of an unshakable inner citadel. A core so solid that it doesn't seek validation from the outside world, but instead radiates its own gravitational force. Your problem isn't your strategy with women. It's the strategy of your own mind against itself. You have been your own worst enemy, your own saboteur, broadcasting your insecurities on a subconscious channel that everyone, especially her, was tuned into. Before we begin the deconstruction of this weak self and lay the foundation for a man who commands respect simply by existing, a man whose presence is felt before he ever speaks a word, you must make a choice. This is not passive entertainment. This is a training manual for psychological warfare. Subscribe to Psychological Dominion. Activate the notification bell because every video is a weapon for your arsenal. Like this video to declare that you are done being invisible, done being the nice guy who finishes last. And in the comments below, I want you to perform the first act of defiance against your old self. Share the story of a rejection or a moment of disrespect that left a scar on you. Do not share it for sympathy. Share it as an offering, a sacrifice of the old you at the altar of the man you are about to become. We will turn those scars into armor. We will transform those memories of shame into blueprints for power. Your entire life has been a pattern of being overlooked, hasn't it? At work, in social circles, and most painfully, with the women you desire. You've tried to fix it with external solutions. You've read the articles, maybe even bought the courses. You learned lines, routines, and tactics. But it was all just paint on a rotten structure. You were trying to change what you do without ever changing who you are. And a woman's intuition is designed specifically to detect that dissonance. It can smell the desperation behind the rehearsed line. It can feel the tremor of anxiety beneath the confident facade. You cannot fake a backbone. You cannot pretend to have self-respect. It is either there, forged in the fires of self-discipline and radical self-honesty, or it is not. And if it is not, you will always be transparent. You will always be the man she pities but never desires, the man she'll call a great friend as she leaves the bar with someone else, a man who may not be as kind, as smart, or as successful as you, but who possesses the one currency that truly matters in the realm of attraction: an unyielding, unapologetic sense of his own worth. This journey is not about learning how to attract her. It is about becoming the man who doesn't need to. It's about a radical inner transformation, a conscious and systematic demolition of every micro-behavior that broadcasts your insecurity to the world. We will analyze your posture, your vocal tonality, your eye contact, the very way you occupy space. We will replace the apologetic, hesitant energy with a grounded stillness, a quiet confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. This metamorphosis is not about winning her over. It is about winning the war against the weakness within you. It is about building an emotional fortitude so profound that it makes you indifferent to outcomes you cannot control. Focused only on your own actions, your own principles, your own internal state. How do you build this fortress on the ruins of your own insecurity? How do you weaponize the very emptiness her rejection left inside you? The answer lies in a complete deconstruction of the man you think you are, and the strategic, merciless construction of the man you were always meant to be. The process starts now. Let's perform an autopsy. We need to dissect the moment your authority died, because it didn't happen in a single dramatic explosion. It was a quiet poisoning, a slow, methodical erosion of your own foundation, and you were the one holding the cup. You drank the poison willingly, calling it compromise, calling it sensitivity, calling it love. But it was fear. The fall from respect does not begin with a shout. It begins with a whisper. It begins with the first time you chose her emotional comfort over your own integrity. This is the diagnosis of your defeat. The process is always the same, a 5-act tragedy you perform on the stage of your own life. It starts with what you believe is a virtue, emotional concession. Think about the first time she was upset over something trivial. A plan changed, you were a few minutes late. You liked another woman's photo on social media. A minor ripple in the fabric of reality. But her face changed, the mood shifted, and in that moment, you felt a jolt of panic. Your immediate pre-programmed instinct was not to stand your ground, not to let the emotion pass like a cloud, but to fix it. You became an emotional firefighter, rushing to douse a flame that you didn't even start. You apologized when you weren't wrong. You changed your plans, your words, your very thoughts to smooth over her displeasure. You saw this as being a caring partner. What she saw was a man whose internal peace could be hijacked by her slightest frown. He tested you. You yielded. She won. That first small concession was the hairline fracture in the dam. You taught her, in that moment, that her emotions were your responsibility. You handed her the remote control to your own nervous system. From there, you descend into the second stage, the loss of control. Once her emotional state becomes your primary objective, you necessarily lose control over your own. Your life is no longer about your purpose, your goals, or your principles. It's about managing her. You start walking on eggshells. Before you speak, you run a simulation in your head. How will she react to this? You filter your own personality through the lens of her potential disapproval. You stop bringing up topics that might cause friction. You avoid friends she doesn't like. Your world shrinks, contracting to the size of her approval. This is when you start asking those weak, seeking questions. Are you okay? Is everything all right? Did I do something wrong? You're not seeking information. You're begging for a hit of reassurance. You have become a ship without a rudder, tossed about on the waves of her moods. A man who does not control his own emotional state cannot lead, he cannot be respected, and he certainly cannot be desired. He can only be managed, or eventually, dismissed. Emperor Marcus Aurelius would call this a betrayal of the ruling faculty. You have abdicated your throne and invited a foreign power to rule in your place. This inevitably leads to the third circle of hell, the desperate search for validation. Your self-worth is now fully outsourced. It is a stock whose value is determined by her daily emotional ticker. A good morning text from her, and your stock is up. A delayed reply, and you feel a market crash in the pit of your stomach. This is where you begin to perform. You become a court jester, desperate to entertain the queen so she doesn't order your execution. You agree with opinions you don't hold. You feign interest in things that bore you to tears. You shower her with compliments not from a place of genuine admiration, but as a desperate bid to receive a crumb of validation in return. You are a ghost, a hollow man haunting his own life, hoping that if you make yourself agreeable enough, invisible enough, she might finally grant you permission to exist. But she doesn't want a mirror. She wants a man with his own shape, his own edges, his own unshakable reality. By trying to be everything she wants, you become nothing at all. You become transparent, and she looks right through you to find a man who is unapologetically himself. Poison has reached your heart. You enter the fourth stage, crippling emotional dependency. You are an addict, and her attention is your drug. Her silence is no longer just silence. It is a weapon she wields against you, whether she intends to. Silence is dominance, not inattention. When she pulls away, you don't give her space. You panic, chase. The double texts, the frantic calls, passive-aggressive social media posts. You mistake your addiction for love, your anxiety for passion. You think, I just care about her so much. The brutal truth is that you don't care about her. You care about the feeling she gives you. You care about the validation she provides, the temporary patch she places over the gaping void of your own insecurity. At this stage, she feels the full weight of your emptiness. It is a crushing burden. She feels your neediness like a physical presence, a suffocating blanket of desperation. And a woman's primal instinct is to flee from a man who is biologically programmed to seek a protector, not a project. Final act is the surrender, the breaking of the silence. It's the late-night conversation you initiate, the one that starts with, "We need to talk." You spill your guts. You confess all your insecurities, your fears about the relationship, your desperate need for her. You lay your soul bare, hoping for empathy, for connection, for her to see your pain and fix it. You think you are being vulnerable, but you are not. Vulnerability from a position of strength is courage. Vulnerability from a position of weakness is a plea for a mercy. When you asked her, "Just tell me what you want me to do," you were not asking for guidance. You were asking for a master. When you apologized for feeling insecure, when you apologized for needing reassurance, you signed your surrender. You confirmed everything she already suspected, that you were a man without a core, an empty house looking for an occupant. She tested you, and you failed. At every stage, you failed. Now, you can hear the objections brewing in your mind. But relationships are about communication. You're supposed to be open and honest about your feelings. You have been fed a diet of lies, a psychological fast food that has left you weak and bloated. Communication is a tool. In the hands of a surgeon, a scalpel saves a life. In the hands of a child, it is a weapon of self-harm. Communicating your needs from a position of internal power and self-sufficiency is healthy. It sounds like, this is what I require in a relationship. If you can provide that, great. If not, I will find it elsewhere. But communicating from a place of desperate neediness is manipulation. It sounds like, I can't live without you. Please don't leave me. What do I have to do to make you stay? One is a statement of value, the other is a beggar's plea. The Stoics knew that the man who is agitated by external events has not understood the nature of reality. Your feelings of anxiety are not her fault, and they are not her responsibility to fix. They are a signal from your own mind that your internal framework is broken. If you are ready to stop being the architect of your own downfall, then it's time to act. This isn't a spectator sport. Subscribe to Psychological Dominion now and activate all notifications, because every piece of content here is a tool to rebuild your inner fortress. Give this video a like as a declaration of war against the weakness you've allowed to rule you. And in the comments, answer this question with brutal honesty. What was the first small compromise you made, the first concession, that you now recognize, was the beginning of your surrender? Name the moment you chose comfort over respect. Acknowledging the origin of the poison is the first step toward creating the antidote. This pattern doesn't just poison your romantic life. It is the operating system for all your failures. At work, it's the boss who piles on an impossible workload. You say yes with a smile, seething with resentment inside, because you are terrified of the conflict that a no might create. You choose to be a reliable slave over a respected equal. With your friends, it's the one who constantly flakes on plans, who borrows money and never pays it back, who subtly disrespects you in front of others. You let it slide. You rationalize it. That's just how he is. No, that's just how you've taught him he can be with you. In every area of your life, you have broadcasted that your boundaries are negotiable, that your time is worthless, and that your respect is not a requirement for your presence. The most insidious part of this decay is its invisibility. No one pats you on the back for your slow suicide of self-respect. It happens in the quiet moments. It's the hesitation before you speak your mind. It's the forced laugh at a joke made at your expense. It's the sim, dito por miedo, the yes said out of fear. Each one is a brick you pull from your own wall, making it easier for the next siege to overwhelm you. Thought you were keeping the peace. You were actually just funding your own occupation by a foreign power, negotiating the terms of your own surrender, day after day. And then you wonder why you feel this constant low-grade anxiety, this sense of being a fraud in your own skin. It is the scream of your own intuition, telling you that you have betrayed yourself. No one is coming to save you. There is no external force, no woman, no job, no amount of money that will fill the hole you have dug for yourself. The rescue mission must come from within. The cold, hard truth is that she didn't break you. You were already broken. Her rejection was merely the diagnostic tool that revealed the pre-existing condition. The question now is, what will you do with this diagnosis? Will you continue to blame the doctor, or will you finally begin the grueling, painful, but ultimately liberating surgery on your own soul? There is no going back for the weak. There is only the construction of the new. Let that sentence burn itself into your mind. Erase any fantasy you have of reclaiming what was lost. The man she rejected is a corpse. You do not revive a corpse. You bury it and build a monument on its grave. This is not about winning her back. That is the thinking of a slave begging for his old master. This is about forging a new man from the ashes of the old one. A man so fundamentally different in his core programming that he would not even recognize the pathetic creature who was so easily dismissed. This reconstruction is not an emotional journey of healing. It is a cold, tactical operation. A war fought on 3 fronts. Your orders are simple. Cut the excess. Install silence. Control the reaction. First, you will cut the excess. This is a surgical amputation of the past. You will go through your phone and delete her number, all message threads, and every single photograph. You will then move to social media. You will not block her. Blocking is a loud, emotional reaction that screams of pain. Instead, you will simply unfollow or unfriend. A quiet, decisive act of indifference. You are removing her from your field of vision, not because you are hurt, but because she is now irrelevant data. She is noise in the signal you are trying to build. This digital cleansing is non-negotiable. Every picture you keep is a shrine to your own failure. Every old message you save is a chain linking you to the man you must kill. This extends to the physical world. Any gift, any memento, any object that serves as a portal back to that weakness is to be discarded. You are creating a vacuum. You are clearing the operating table for the surgery that is to come. This is not about forgetting her. It's about making the memory powerless. It is an act of strategic deprivation. You are reinstalling scarcity. She is no longer an omnipresent ghost in your machine. She is a complete and total void, an absence that carries weight, not a presence that begs. Second, you will install silence. Your most powerful weapon from this day forward is your non-response. When you disappear from her digital life, a question mark will form in her mind. Curiosity is the first crack in the armor of her indifference. She may eventually reach out. A casual, "Hey," a message on her birthday, a response to a story. It is a probe, a test to see if the old, weak man is still there, waiting to be summoned. The response to this probe will be nothing. Absolute, deafening silence. You must understand the physics of power in this moment. Your reply, no matter how clever or cold you think it is a concession. It tells her, "You still have the power to make me react." Your silence, however, tells her something far more devastating. You do not exist. It creates a vacuum of information that her mind will desperately try to fill. Is he angry? Did he meet someone else? Did he just not care? Your silence dominates the frame. It forces her into a state of internal monologue, of questioning her own value and impact. You are no longer the one analyzing her every move. She is now forced to analyze your lack of one. Do not reconquer. Replace with a sharper silence. Every second you withhold a reply, you are rebuilding the respect you pissed away with every desperate double text. This silence is not passive. It is an active, offensive maneuver. It is the loudest statement you can possibly make. Third, you will control the reaction. This is the core of the Stoic warrior's mindset. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Her rejection, her indifference, her potential return. These are all outside events. They are weather patterns you cannot control. Your weakness was believing that your internal state, your happiness, your worth, depended on that weather. The new man, the man you are building, is the mountain. The weather happens to the mountain, but it does not change what the mountain is. You will achieve this through a relentless, obsessive focus on what you can control. The hierarchy. You will redirect every ounce of emotional energy you once wasted on her into the 4 pillars of masculine power. Your physique, your finances, your social standing, and your symbolic value. You will go to the gym not to get a revenge body, but to forge discipline in steel and sweat. You will treat your work not as a job, but as a campaign of conquest, seeking more responsibility, more income, more power. You will cut out the weak, complaining friends who enabled your mediocrity, and build a new circle of men who are on their own missions. Your focus becomes so total, so absolute, that she becomes a footnote in the epic you are writing. If she ever reappears, your reaction will be genuine, unforced indifference, because you will be too busy building your empire to care about a ghost from a forgotten province. This is the plan. It is not a hope. It is a protocol. A man who wants to be loved will be discarded. A man who imposes his presence will be feared. And fear, in the currency of interpersonal dynamics, is the foundation upon which all respect is built. You will not interact with her. If you are forced to by circumstance, your interaction will be minimal, polite, and utterly devoid of emotion. You are a gray rock. You offer no surface for her to get a grip on. Your answers are short. You do not ask questions about her life. You are a stranger who happens to look like someone she used to know. This unpredictability, this transformation from a needy, open book into an unreadable, self-contained fortress, is the ultimate reversal of the power dynamic. She X-rayed you and found you hollow. Now she looks at you and finds nothing but solid steel. The journey you're on is not for the faint of heart. It requires a level of ruthlessness, especially with yourself, that few men can stomach. You've seen the alternative, and it's a lifetime of quiet desperation. If you are ready to abandon that life and begin the construction, then your work starts now. Subscribe to Psychological Dominion and activate every notification. Consider this your tactical briefing room. Like this video as a formal declaration of your commitment to this war. And in the comments below, I want you to answer a simple, strategic question. All the chains that still bind you to your old self, the hope she'll come back, the memory of the good times, the fear of being alone. Which one are you going to break tonight before you go to sleep? Name your enemy. Declare your first act of liberation. The man you are becoming is watching. Do not disappoint him. And so, we arrive at the endgame. The board is set. The pieces have moved. but you are about to do something the old you would have found unthinkable. You are going to flip the table over, not in a fit of rage, but with the calm, deliberate precision of a man who has realized the game itself is beneath him. Remember the man from the beginning? The one who was X-rayed, exposed, and dismissed? He is waiting for his moment of redemption. He fantasizes about the day he will see her again, transformed, and she will be filled with regret. He imagines a cinematic reunion where she sees his newfound success, his hardened physique, his unshakable confidence, and begs for a second chance. That man must die. That fantasy is the final chain you must break, because it is still rooted in her validation. The ultimate victory isn't making her want you again. It is reaching a state of such profound self-possession that her opinion of you is as relevant as a weather report from a city you left years ago. The test will come. It always does. The universe has a cruel sense of poetry. You will be at a social gathering, a business event, perhaps just walking down the street, and your heart will not leap. Your stomach will not drop. The programming is gone. Instead, your mind, now a cold and disciplined strategist, will simply register a new variable in the environment. You will see her before she sees you. You will observe. You will notice she is performing the same social script, laughing a little too loudly, scanning the room for validation just as you once did, and you will feel nothing. Not pity, not anger, not ghost of desire. You will feel a quiet, chilling detachment, the detachment of a scientist observing a specimen. When her eyes finally find you, the script she expects to run will crash. She will see you, and for a fraction of a second, her social mask will slip. She expects to see the ghost she dismissed, the apologetic posture, the hopeful, seeking eyes. Instead, she sees a man who occupies his space with an absolute, grounded stillness. You are not looking at her with longing. You are looking through her. Your focus on a conversation with someone else. Your mind on a goal she cannot possibly comprehend. Her presence in the room has not altered your state in any way. This is the moment the power dynamic shatters. Her greatest weapon, her indifference, is now useless, because it is met with an indifference so total, so genuine, that it borders on non-existence. You have not ignored her. You have simply failed to register her as significant. She may approach. Curiosity, or perhaps a subconscious need to re-establish her power, will compel her. She will offer a smile, a casual, "Oh my God, how have you been?" The old you would have seen this as an opening, a chance to prove your worth. The new man sees it for what it is, a probe, a test, and you will give her nothing. Your response will be polite, brief, and utterly devoid of emotional investment. Hope you are too. You will not ask her questions. Asking a question is a bid for connection, an investment of energy. You will not offer details about your life. Your life is a closed book, a private empire she no longer has clearance to visit. You will maintain eye contact, not as a challenge, but with the calm, placid gaze of someone speaking to a cashier or a stranger asking for directions. And then, you will excuse yourself. Not abruptly, not rudely, but with the unhurried finality of a man who has more important things to do. You will turn your back and re-engage with your world, leaving her standing in the vacuum you've created. In that moment, she will feel what you once felt. She will feel invisible. She will run through a Rolodex of possibilities. Was he rude? No, he was polite. Is he angry with me? No, he seemed... nothing. Did he meet someone else? Maybe. But this feels different. It feels like I don't matter. You have not played a single move in her game. You have simply demonstrated that you are playing an entirely different one, on a board she can't even see. The silence you installed was not a waiting game. The construction of a new reality, a reality in which she is merely a peripheral character, a forgotten footnote. This is the ultimate vengeance. Not fire, but ice. Not a confrontation, but a complete and total erasure. You have won, not by checkmating the queen, but by becoming the king of a much larger, more significant kingdom. This is the legacy you build. Respect is not something you ask for. It is not something you negotiate. Respect is the inevitable consequence of a man who has forged an unshakable internal core. It is the silence that falls when you enter a room. It is the attention that is given, not requested. It is the emotional territory that others instinctively cede to you, because they sense the profound and dangerous weight of your self-possession. You have stopped seeking validation from the world, and have instead become the validator. You have stopped asking for permission to exist, and have started granting others the privilege of existing in your presence. The emptiness she left inside you was not a wound. It was an opportunity. It was the empty space you needed to demolish the weak man and build a fortress in his place. This is your final directive. Stop looking for closure. Stop hoping for revenge. Your victory is not in her regret. It is in your own indifference. Your power is not in her attention. It is in your own focus. You do not rise from the ashes to show the person who burned you what you've become. You rise from the ashes because the fire was a purification, and your destiny was always to fly, with or without her witness. If you are ready to permanently delete the old programming and install the operating system of a king, then your work is not over. Subscribe to Psychological Dominion. Activate the notification bell, because this is not entertainment. This is your arsenal. Like this video as a final salute to the weak man you are leaving behind. And in the comments below, answer this with absolute finality. What is the one single feeling you will now refuse to ever grant her the power to make you feel again? Nostalgia? Name it, and in doing so, execute it. The day she doubts who you have become will be far too late.